If you're just joining us, you're looking at a live view of SpaceX's Falcon 9 rocket standing 229 feet or 70 meters tall on Space Launch Complex 40 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station, now 24 minutes, 18 seconds from liftoff. Propellant loading on board the Falcon 9 is progressing well this morning as SpaceX targets launch with the Eutelsat's Hotbird 13G satellite at 1:22 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, 5:22 a.m. UTC. If you haven't done so yet, please hit the like button here on our YouTube stream. That helps us gain a larger audience for our coverage. We want to bring this exciting middle-of-the-night launch. Should be quite a show here at Cape Canaveral. We want to bring this to as many people as possible. So in order to do that, we need a little help from you. So please hit the like button here on our YouTube stream. That really helps us a lot. If you want to support our coverage, we have memberships available for you. You can join our YouTube channel. And depending on which membership tier you choose, you can gain access to exclusive members-only video features for our subscribers or for our members. You'll also be supporting our coverage. As you may know, there is a rapid growth in the launch rate here at Cape Canaveral, and in order to keep up, we need to help us maintain and expand our coverage. So one way to do that is through our memberships here on YouTube by joining our YouTube channel. Another way you can support our coverage, if you enjoy our commentary and our live video, is to contribute in the Super Chat here on YouTube. We'd appreciate that as well. The launch is now less than 23 minutes away. Again, tonight's mission will target what's known as a super transfer orbit. That is a highly elliptical or oval shape around the Earth with a high point stretching more than 30,000 miles from Earth. The low point will be a few hundred miles above the surface of Earth. And this orbit is where the Hotbird 13G satellite will be deployed about 36 minutes after launch this morning on the way to its final geosynchronous orbit over the equator. In order to reach that equatorial orbit, the Falcon 9 rocket will head due east from Pad 40 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. This map shows the approximate track the Falcon 9 will take heading toward this low inclination orbit. We've labeled here Space Launch Complex 40 here at the Cape. We've also labeled the approximate position of the drone ship, one of SpaceX's football field-sized landing vessels, positioned about 420 miles or 675 kilometers due east from the Cape. That's where the first stage booster will target landing less than 10 minutes after liftoff this morning. So here's the approximate ground track, again, a due east trajectory out over the Atlantic Ocean. SpaceX often launches to the northeast from the Cape for missions heading to the International Space Station or carrying Starlink internet satellites. But for this mission, carrying a geostationary communication satellite, the Falcon 9 will have to head east out over the Atlantic. You can see that frost level on the first stage booster rising now, and some vapors appearing from the condensation from that super cold cryogenic oxidizer as it's loaded into the first stage. We'll see that frost level rise throughout the remainder of the countdown until the liquid oxygen tank is fully loaded.
Stage 2, fuel load complete.
We heard the call a few moments ago that the second stage fuel load has been completed. So the rocket grade kerosene tank on stage 2 is now full. Shortly after that call, we saw the so-called big vent from the strongback just to the right of the Falcon 9 out at pad 40. That's caused by the chill down conditioning of the liquid oxygen loading line that runs up that strongback from the ground storage tank where the liquid oxygen is stored at the pad up to the inlet where it flows into the liquid oxygen tank on stage. That line needs to be thermally conditioned before liquid oxygen begins flowing into the second stage, and that is what we're seeing now with this vent from the strongback. Liquid oxygen loading will actually begin on stage 2 in about 2 minutes. We should see this.
Is on internal power.
We should see this vent terminated momentarily. In fact, I think we're seeing that now. That should be...
Stage 2 LOX load has started.
There we have it. Stage 2 liquid oxygen loading is now underway, concurrent with the of that vent from the strength. So liquid oxygen is now flowing into the second stage of the Falcon 9. A moment before that, we heard a call from the Launch Control Center that the Hotbird 13G communications satellite is now on internal power. This is a configuration change to terminate ground power supply from an umbilical leading into the payload fairing to keep the spacecraft powered. The satellite is now being powered by its onboard batteries until it arrives in orbit and is deployed from the Falcon 9, when it will extend solar panels to begin recharging those batteries. Again, the payload for tonight's mission is Hotbird 13G. That's the 4.5 metric ton, or roughly 10,000 pound spacecraft buttoned up inside the payload fairing of SpaceX's Falcon 9 rocket. Here's a view on the right showing this spacecraft as it was enclosed in its shipping container before leaving the Airbus factory where it was built in Toulouse, France. It's owned by Eutelsat, another French company headquartered in Paris. Eutelsat is one of the world's largest, in fact, owns the third largest fleet of commercial communication satellites in geostationary orbit. After SES and Intelsat, Eutelsat is the third largest operator of commercial telecom satellites in geostationary orbit. This particular spacecraft is heading for a perch in geostationary orbit at 13 degrees east.
It's a multicultural platform, a good strong reach and an established market, particularly across Europe and North Africa and into the Middle East.
We wanted to reach our customers, both the end users and the cable operators, which were spread all over Poland. We came up with a very simple decision: go for Eutelsat and Hotbird.
C'était un choix stratégique, non seulement pour la position géographique et pour le footprint qui nous permet de toucher un nombre important de plateformes qui font la 4K et qui s'intéressent aux chaînes 4K, mais aussi c'est un satellite très prestigieux.
A real partnership is something that they're trying to find out which are the challenges and helping side by side.
And with that, let's hear a few words from the satellite manufacturer, Airbus.
Hotbird 13F was designed and built by Airbus. It has a twin Hotbird 13G, also built by Airbus, and launched 1 month later. Twin satellites will replace 3 previous satellites' fleet. The module, hosting all the mission capabilities, was developed in Portsmouth. It was then sent to Toulouse to be the service module. Was spacecraft testing. Before being loaded into a container launched